Here he is.
Good. Here he is, the man mountain himself.
The man mountain is here, people. Well,
Yeah,
not the man mountain, my mountain, my mountain Brown. I feel like I feel like when I'm saying it now,
yeah,
I'm from Brixton. My mountain Brown.
yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Philosophical Brown. What's going on?
Yeah, well, it's cracking, man. Yeah, good, man. Good. Yeah, good week. Good productive Sunday as well, man.
I
Got
like it.
woken up by the farm drop delivery guy at 7 a.m. I was like, "Yeah, thank you for that wake up call, brother." Took took my food in, got some stuff done, had got went for a run, sorted out my sessions for the day, got some admin stuff done as well. Like it's pretty solid day so far.
This is nice, man. This is nice. You get a morning alarm, man. That's nice.
Yeah,
Your wake up call, sir. And your
yeah,
food. Here you go.
yeah, exactly. I was like,
Is
"Thank
there a
you."
better alarm? Is there a better alarm in this world than just a guy bringing food to your door? I mean, a lady bringing food to your door would be lovely too. But I mean, a
That's the one.
big burly farmer. We'll take that all day long.
Yeah,
Why not?
exactly, man. I'll accept that wake up call. It's a good acceptance in the morning. But yeah, man. What about you? What's been cracking? It's your birthday week as well.
Yeah, man. On my birthday. It was my birthday. This is.
Hey,
I've had.
Shorty, it's your birthday.
I had such a nice birthday. I had such a nice birthday, man. Honestly, I gotta say that the people that made it a lovely birthday, my family, people close to me, friends, brothers, everything. So nice, super nice, man. Yeah. Just a chilled out day. Chilled out 2 days really. I felt like the day, my birthday itself, I did what I wanted to do, which was do my work. So I told you this on WhatsApp. I had 9 clients that
Yeah.
day, and I trained three times myself. I had a session in the morning,
But
had a session like midday, and then just like I had a little bit left to do from the session midday because I couldn't get it all in. Ended up just tacking it on to the end of my day. So finished all my clients, finished all my work. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go again, and ended up
yes.
staying and having just a really good day. I'm really good. All 3 workouts were really good. I have this thing which is like birthday PR, birthday PB.
Okay. Yeah.
You have to PB on your birthday. It doesn't matter what it is. Can be calf raises, can be bicep curls, can be farmers walk. I ended up PRing on farmers walk, dumbbell press,
That's
um,
amazing.
the front squat from the afternoon session was a PR. So everything went a happy day, really nice day.
Bro, that's so many PRs.
Too many PRs, man. Too many PRs. It was
Just
basically, it's you know what it is. It's like when you normally operate at 8/10 because you're like, I have to come back tomorrow and do this again, or I have to go in the morning and I
okay.
have to train another session. So you hold yourself back, thinking that it's okay that I'm not a powerlifter. I'm not getting on the platform tomorrow. I'm not trying to blow the doors off. Um,
Yeah.
but I want to just kind of get through my workout, absorb its intent for me today, without kind of trying to take myself to that high RPM zone. But when it's your birthday, you just gotta just fuck it and just smash it. So yeah, it was only like a 2.5 kilo, 3 kilo PR on whatever it was a PR on.
Whatever, man. It's still a
Oh yeah,
PR.
but then I went a bit crazy on the ab wheel. The ab wheel is like my nemesis in the gym. But it was my
Yeah.
nemesis. Now it's one of my best friends. So
Yeah.
my sets are
Beautiful.
like 10 reps for the set, and for the last set I just did
10.
20 reps. Yeah, I just did 20
Yeah.
reps.
Okay.
I was just like, fuck it. Stop.
Gonna keep
Started
going.
doing. Yeah, I started doing reps for people in my life. I was just like, one for you, one for you, Garinda, one for you, TJ.
I love that. You because you brought that up before as well, doing reps for people. That's such a good way of
Yeah.
getting through it. I'm gonna have to
Oh
remember
yeah.
that when you start getting to that point where you're about to fail. And it's
Yeah.
like this one, no, this one's for Umar. I
Yeah.
must do this. I can't
That's
let
it.
anyone down.
Oh, it's good, man. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, especially when you get them out and they're good reps. And yeah, man. It was a nice day, lovely day.
That was amazing. Got 2 sets for the price of one on that one, man. That's
Yeah,
epic.
man.
I like that. Set up your training cycle for the set if like to peak on your birthday.
Yep. But it's one of them. It's one of them as well, where even if you're not set up for it, even if you're just hanging, you just on your birthday, you're just like you have to find a way. I'm sorry, you just have to just find a way. You have to just do some hellacious birthday workout, even if it's not a hellacious birthday. You just go to whatever you're doing for your session. Just find a few more kilos and just feel
Yeah,
like you've done your best on that day in particular. Always
I
been a
think
thing for me.
Yeah, man. Well, I think if you just know you're not going to be down for it, you should do something like book Sylvie for that day
Yeah.
for your birthday. It's like I can't let somebody else down. I have to be
Yeah.
there at this appointment. So I'm gonna wrestle with Sylvie.
I
This
love
is
that.
my birthday present to myself.
Yes,
It's gonna be
yes.
hellacious.
One of my friends said something to me the other day. She said, you have to break yourself down so the pieces can be kind of carried forward by the wind, and then you end up kind of
Right.
forming nicely. She put it in a really eloquent way. I'm butchering it there, but
Yeah.
I feel like with Sylvie, the pieces of you are going to get broken down, and
Oh
they
yeah.
are like, then he'll just like package them in a nice envelope and just give them to you. Be like, see you later,
Yeah.
goodbye. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
put these pieces of your human back together when you get a chance. Hopefully, you still find
Exactly.
out how they go together.
That's
So,
it. Yeah, you just like it's like a 1,000 piece puzzle in a box, right? It's like this is what here's the picture of what it's supposed to look like, and then here's you trying to piece it back together again. You're like, oh, I don't even know what I am anymore. I'm just so busted.
the picture of what it's supposed to look like is just
Yeah,
constantly morphing as you get more and more fatigued by the session. You're there just
that's
trying to
it.
put these pieces back together. You're just like, oh, there's no point. There's no point. I'll
It's
do
just a
this later.
blur.
Yep,
Exactly, man.
it's
So
done.
what's my mountain brown about?
My
Who is he?
mountain
Who is
brown.
he?
My mountain brown, right? So my mountain brown is basically a conversation I had with TJ yesterday, and then with a friend of mine today, and it was talking a little bit about this thought that I think we've touched on the podcast before. We talk about like delayed gratification, not being happy until you've climbed the mountain, right? But I thought that it's weird how these thoughts sometimes just articulate themselves. They kind of just come out of nowhere, and you've never actually formed these words in this order before, but then they end up coming out. And you're like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah.
what I was saying was that I was so kind of stuck on this path at times in my life that I was almost discounting people and their praise for me. I was thinking that oh, someone tell me that I'm good, I'd be like, oh yeah, thank you, bye, see you
Yeah.
later.
Whatever.
I'm not,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't need to hear this right now because I'm in my estimation, I'm still fuck all, right? So it doesn't help me to hear. It doesn't help me to dwell on this. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to just try and keep out of my mountain. Um, but it's not productive. It's not productive because you end up running out of juice if you don't listen to that praise. And the way I kind of formed the words was that that person giving you that praise is almost like a pebble, and that pebble you can start accumulating these little pebbles as long as you don't kind of look at that pebble as though it's a mountain. You just accumulate these pebbles, and one day you'll be standing on a mountain because you've carried that praise forward, and it's it's added to you rather than pulling you off your journey. You know what I mean? It's kind of raised the floor beneath your feet because people have lifted you to this level for a reason, right? And it's almost like I've been very very unwilling to see other people's perspective of me as anything I've been like, oh, I don't trust your opinion of me because I don't believe that to be me. I feel like I'm not accomplished yet, so therefore I'm just going to keep looking at this big task that I have to achieve. When I achieve that, oh, then maybe I can clap for myself and I might listen to yours as well. But it's really, life probably won't ever give me that. Not to say I won't achieve what I want, but along the way, if I just take what people actually have for me, be happy for it, acknowledge the fact that I've helped people, um, it's probably a much better way of going about what ultimately I want to achieve, rather than just delaying it and delaying it and delaying it for something that might not actually come. I can enjoy it for the moment right now, and just like take it forward with me to help me kind of help me on this path. So that was the connotation behind my name.
That's beautiful, man. I like that. The pebbles, you laying out and keep getting handing pebbles, landing on the pebbles turns into a mountain, puts you on a mountain. That's nice.
Yeah.
It's bro. I mean, what you've touched on there is also neuroscientific fact as well. It's like it's how we're wired to operate. We have to find that balance between that goal that we're striving for and appreciating that journey along the way, and so accepting that praise because if we're waiting to accept that praise when we get there, then you alluded to it as well. You just don't appreciate the steps along the way,
Yeah.
and so you have these circuits in your brain that essentially wire you for attaining a goal, but also wire you for appreciating the here and now. So the interesting thing is they work opposite to each other, but they also help support each other in by working in opposition. So by you appreciating the here and now, it if you do it too much, then then you striving towards your goal gets dampened down. So you feel like, you know what, actually everything is so great right now. Why do I need anything to aim for? But then if you're too far the other way, if all you're doing is chasing, 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 then nothing ever feels like it's enough and nothing ever feels like it's good enough. So those are the two extremes. But if you have that system on balance where you're like, I've got something to chase and I'm going to keep going and climbing that mountain to get there, but then steps along the way, whether that's somebody praising you for the work that you're doing, you giving yourself a little bit of kudos, because it's a subjective thing as well. It doesn't have to be like you hit this objective marker. It's a thing where you pronounce some relevance to it and some importance to it. So if you appreciate the steps along the way, and like you just said, is like, you know, appreciating it for what it is, the here and now, taking that compliment, it fuels you. You feel good for the fact that you're on that journey, and then it propels you further along on that journey as well. So yeah, it's something that we've been able to mechanistically break down now, and it's being like, okay, there is a process that you can follow so that the goals that you're aiming at don't suck the life out of you, that they actually bring more life into you, and you don't just wait for the moment that you get there to experience how good it feels. You can experience the process to be just as rewarding as actually getting to that point.
I like that, man. I like that, because I feel like in the past there's been times where you've got that praise, but then through your unwillingness to accept it, you've almost become wayward in your approach, because you're still looking for the golden ticket to give somebody, but that person's acknowledging the fact that you've given them the golden ticket. You know what I mean? By their estimation, their life is unlike anything that's ever been before. So it's almost like I'm trying to chase this fountain of wealth that I want to give to this person, but really what I've given them actually is enough. And that that is obviously, like you said, it doesn't deter me from ever going for more, because I feel like that's a driver we can't ever stop doing. But in the moment, accepting the fact that you've helped and you've changed and you've moved somebody forward. Yeah, it's definitely something that I've clicked onto now. I'm looking forward to kind of just exercising that. You know, someone says, "Oh, good job, thank you for that," and you'd be like, "Yeah, you're welcome. I feel good about doing that. Appreciate it. Nice one. See you later."
Exactly.
It's nothing more than that, is it? It's just a little bit more of acknowledgement, and
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, man. I used to be the same as well. I actually had to practice accepting compliments, you know.
I like that.
And it's somebody like you get something thrown at you or whatever, and it's just like, oh, you know, you just in this like standard British kind of way as well. You know, we're raised in this society. You know, you just don't put yourself up on any kind of pedestal. What you shouldn't. That's. But I mean, like, don't. It's. Being confident is almost automatically considered being cocky, right? So if you take a compliment, you're like, that's bad attitude. That's just the wrong way to deal with it. You should be like, oh, stop, like, no, you know, you're saying too much. But it's like, you got to acknowledge where you are actually a good human being, right? You know, in whatever capacity that you're getting that compliment. And so it would certainly be something for me. It would be like, yeah, just push it away, never actually let it absorb into me. And then when I started letting it absorb a little bit, it was like, oh, this feels a little strange. This is a bit awkward. You know, am I allowed to let somebody else make me feel good about myself like that? But started appreciating it and just actually saying thank you for it instead of pushing it away. And that thank you is basically acceptance. And then having taken it on board is just, you realize, you know, you can choose to take it on board, or you can choose not to, and with that choice, you're essentially choosing whether you believe something good about yourself or whether you don't. And so it's something that I've practiced. So if I hear somebody saying something nice to me, like, I'll be like, oh, that's nice of you to say that. Thank you very much. It's like, first of all, I might try and find out where it's coming from as well, because, you know, somebody, you could have you could have somebody doing a Trump version. You're just great. You're great. Everything's great. You know, you're just a great person. It's like, all right, well, yeah, now you sound like a sycophant. I want to know where this is coming from. And then somebody will say something about you that you might not even expect as well. And then you're like, wait, is that true about me?
That's
Oh,
true.
this is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nice, but I want to understand why you think that. And then it helps you get an idea of who you are in the eyes of other people. And I think that's always kind of useful as well. Is like what do people see when they look at you and the way that you behave and stuff? Because sometimes you get caught up in your own shit so much that you don't even realize what you're putting out to the world.
Great shout, man. Great shout. Yep, I like that. Just growth in directions that we've not grown in yet. So nothing bad's gonna come of that. I think you
Yeah,
slowly start walking down that path, and obviously, if you don't like it, you can always come back to the way you are now. You've got
yeah,
plenty of these reps. You know how to find your way home.
yeah,
Hansel and Gretel laid that path
yeah.
real strong. So we know our way back
Exactly.
home. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
That's it, man. That's it. Tell me about your name, bro. Do you know what? Tell me about a few of your names, because we talked about this before we came onto the podcast.
yeah,
We talked about how we've had such good guests on the last 2 weeks. We've not had
yeah.
time to get into our names. I know there's one. I can't remember my name from last week, but I remember my name from the week before. I want to get into that at some
Yeah.
point, but tell me about your name first. What is philosophical Brown?
Oh man, philosophical. I'll tell you what. I'll go into the other ones
Right.
first,
Do your
and
thing,
then
man.
we'll
Do your
get into
thing.
this one. Because yeah, the previous one, I was like, anabolic brown was last week. I didn't even get to talk about it. I was like, damn, this is a really this is me receiving a compliment basically, and I was
Oh,
actually
nice.
accepting it. That was me being thankful for that compliment, accepting it. Because
See, it wasn't meant to be, bro. You had to bring it up today. That's it.
yeah,
The universe has got the will.
exactly.
Yeah. It's cool.
That's it, man. You got it. You got it. That's crazy. That's crazy. Somehow there's something, whatever it is in ether, whether you think it's God or just nature or the universe or whatever it is,
Yep.
it's pulling the strings right there. That's an example of that on a micro level. So yeah, my name last week was Anabolic Brown, right? Because last week I bumped into an ex-colleague of mine, hadn't seen for quite a number of years, basically, and I almost didn't see him. So because I was going for a run, he was on his cycle. He whizzed past me, and then but he stuck his hand out like this. And I was like, that's a bit weird. Who the fuck was that? And I just turned back around. I was like, oh shit. And then we stopped. We started chatting. And he's like, bro, he's like, you've been juicing or something. You're looking more stacked. I was
Love
like,
it.
respect, man. Yeah, thank you very much. He goes, what you been taking? Like, either your jaw shape has changed and all that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, man. It's like Anavar, like plugging it right in here, all up in the jaw. And he was like, yeah, man, looking a bit thick. I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, I've been working at it. That's right. I've been working at it. I've been putting the effort in. So I'm glad somebody I haven't seen in a while sees it.
Love it. I love that.
hence the name Anabolic Brown.
Big man, big man. I love that.
Yeah,
I love it. Where was
it's
this
fun.
man from? Was this a guy from banking days? Was it a guy from
Oh
not
no,
banking?
from
Sorry.
Virgin Act. Yeah,
Okay.
Virgin Act. Yeah, it used to be tax, right? So that's what I used
Taxa.
to.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, that's almost another life. That was over 10 years ago. No,
Okay.
that was 10 years ago. Shit, I left that job 10 years ago next month. Yeah,
Oh
damn.
shit.
Yeah,
Damn.
exactly. That's
Time.
crazy.
That's a long time.
That's,
Time flies. Time has
time
gone, mate.
flies, man.
But you made the gains
Exactly.
along the way, bro.
Yeah, exactly, man. Kept refining those gains, and then yeah. So this guy was somebody from Virgin Active. Like actually, the first job that I got was at Virgin Active when I entered the fitness industry. So yeah, that's where I knew him from. And
I
then
like it.
yeah, that was it,
Was
man.
it?
What was the name? What was the name that you wanted to get into?
Oh, long live the king, man. I touched on it a little
Oh
bit
yeah,
in
yes,
the Nick D podcast, but
yeah,
I feel like it's gone so under the radar with
yeah,
Khabib Nurmagomedov retiring after his like crazy performance against Justin Gaethje.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just
bro.
mad. That's yeah, because my name was Walk It Down Brown that day.
Right. Okay.
And it was
I think-
because it was because of Khabib, right?
Okay,
He was just walking it down.
Yeah.
Just it didn't matter. He got punched in the face. He took a few licks as well, but his chin is so goddamn solid. He just kept walking at him, and he brought him
Yeah.
down. And he just
That's
walked
it.
it down, man.
So
Didn't matter.
massive. That was his best performance. Against
Just
a
mad.
striker who people were just like, "This is the antidote. We've got it." And then,
Yeah.
I've never heard this level of like assuredness. Like I remember when
Yeah.
GSP was fighting, and there was like every guy that came up, whether it be like Dan Hardy, or whether it be Carlos Condit, or whether it be Diaz or BJ Penn, all these guys that kind of were the guy that was going to dethrone George St. Pierre, you never really believed it. But I feel like this time people believed it, and
Right.
people were just like, it's going to happen. He's going to lose. Like he's going to. I don't know why. I had this like an eerie level of calm when Khabib fights. I'm just like, don't
Yeah.
worry about it. He's got this. Like, did you know where that comes from? Partly it comes from Sylvie, because I feel
Yeah.
like I understand a little bit. I have no basis in their realities, right? In this reality of a
Yeah.
wrestler, but I feel like I understand a little bit of what it's like to go through that kind of training, the little that we've been through. And then if I think about, like, Khabib talked about one of his promos, like, I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sorry, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody can put you away. I just don't think anybody can put you out. You fought Conor McGregor. He's a very hard striker. He knows how to put his hands together. Gaethje can do the same. But I just can't see anybody in your weight class dealing with you. And I was just super confident the entire time. And then you watch out and you go and you look at his performance. And it was almost like, what the hell? This guy can't do anything. Like you said, he just walked it down and
Yeah.
imposed his will. Like, as soon as he got his hands around him, I remember just sitting on my sofa being like, that's done then. That's done then. Like, as soon as his hands are around the guy, I'm just like, you've
Yeah.
got nothing now. Like, I don't care if
Exactly.
Tony Ferguson would have had other answers for him, because he's on the ground. He's a different animal, right? But Gaethje, I don't know. I'm like, no, he wouldn't have had anything for him. And yeah, man,
Yeah.
super proud of how he did it. The message and the actual sentiment behind what he said afterwards about retiring and this and that, whatever, the family values and all that stuff. Oh, got me right in the feels, man. Got me right in the feels.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, it was special. It was special.
That was, man. And like I think the hype there for like Gaethje was there because if there's a time to potentially take out Khabib, that was the right time, right? It's like crazy circumstances. His father's died. He's clearly very emotional, and it looks like he just doesn't look like he's all there completely. But somehow, like even when he walked out, like I messaged my bro and I was like, bro, does Khabib always look like he's about to cry when he walks out to the octagon? Because it was like I was like, he just doesn't look calm. He looks like he's trying to keep himself settled down, but obviously, he was super emotional, and then but somehow he just knows how to keep it together for the bout, and then everything just comes out afterwards.
Yeah, man. I feel like he was fighting for something so big, because in his mind he knew that he knew that he never wanted to come back to the octagon again, right? Whether he does or he doesn't, in that instant, he knew he never wanted to come back, and therefore he has to win. Like, you just cannot leave this as 28-1. Like, and then because that means you have to come back. It means you have to do this again. It means you have to avenge the loss. You can't ever avenge the loss. It's a different fight now. You know what I mean? And he knows if he wants to go out on all the things he wanted to say afterwards, saying that in the post-fight press conference or post-fight interview, and being on the losing side would not have hit as hard. It would have been like, oh, he's lost now, he wants to leave. But doing it the way he did it, and so carrying that weight coming in, knowing that, sorry, it's not your day. Today's my day. Like, this is coming. It's my way or no way. Like, that's it. I'm gonna go in here if it has to be that way, right?
Yeah.
That you saw that in the kind of immediacy with which he was fighting. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't a tactical battle. I feel like this is one thing that Trevor Whitman does really well, which is Gaethje's coach, is that he breaks it down into X's and O's. Like, step here, this is on. Step here, that's on. But when someone comes in your face and is just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, hit me. But when you get hit, you're going to know more about it than I am, because I don't feel it right now. Like, leg kick me,
Yeah.
overhand left, and put that left
Yeah.
hook behind it. Like, it just doesn't matter right now. That's what I felt from him there. And it was was almost similar to the Conor fight, where that fight was so fueled by hatred at a level, because it was like, you've said shit you can't just say, like, you can't just do this shit, right? Then again, it goes out of like technique and goes out of that, it goes into like, this is a fucking war now, you know what I mean? We need to scrap, because you need to know about it. And not that Gaethje had done that, but I felt like because of his own circumstances, he had to just put it out there and just do that properly. Man, so impressive. I could talk about this all day long.
Yeah. It was mad. It was nuts. It was like
Crazy, man.
the that was just the thing. I just couldn't believe like he was just walking it down. I just know what I couldn't believe. Oh, so here's the thing. Have you seen his first MMA fight and how he won that, Khabib?
Can't remember. No, I don't think so.
So this is an MMA fight, not even UFC, like his first actual pro MMA fight.
Yeah.
Finished the dude just how he finished Gaethje. Mount Triangle. And
triangle. Yeah. Because
exactly.
yeah, you say it was his dad's favorite technique.
And
That was his
so
dad's favorite technique. Yeah.
there's something like it's almost like he knew that he was going to retire, and it's almost like I get the feeling he was going to always going to try and finish the fight with that mounted triangle, because that's how I started, this is how I'm going to finish.
Got
And
goosebumps,
it's
man.
just crazy,
I got
crazy.
goosebumps.
Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy bookending. As soon as my housemate sent that to us the next day, I was like, no freaking way. He knew he was going to do this. This is basically it. And just like the lack of respect for Gaethje's defense, I mean, when he brought him down, I couldn't believe that he started transitioning to the triangle. I was like, what is going on? I thought he was just going to mash him.
Right. He just passed the hand out. He was just like, put this here now. I remember thinking, I've learned that in class, but it's never that easy in class. This is just the highlight Gaethje. Like, are you gonna just be like, just let's go here, yeah? Let's go here. Okay, what? Leg over the top. See you later, bro. Wow.
Total.
Craziness, man. Crazy.
Just total madness.
Gaethje was gassed, eh? Gaethje was proper. I mean, at the end of the first, he was gassed. He hadn't even been hit. He was just he'd been run around the octagon. Okay, like play the game of Tig. And yeah, when he came out for the second round, you could just see it in him. Like he was like, fuck, this game plan's not going to work. I need to hit this guy and put this guy down now, because he's not going to stop. And then, yeah, man, that's all she wrote.
Yeah, exactly. All she wrote. It was madness as well. But yeah, it was crazy. Just I could imagine like how much you wanted to talk about it 2 weeks ago, and we just didn't get a chance.
God damn, you said all the words, bro. So I couldn't say anything else.
Took the word quota.
Yeah, man, I love it. So we get to kind of get to natter about it now, man. It was good. Was there one other one that you had?
Last week was
Anabolic.
Brown. Week before, yeah, no, that was it.
Walking
and
down.
yours was keep calm and carry on, Brad. Last week.
Yeah, did we get into that? I can't remember why.
No, I don't think so. No.
Sorry. You have to say that story for another day. I can't remember why I said that. It might come back to me. I might get reminded of that. It might have been for lockdown 2. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, lockdown 2. So just kind of not. It is what it is, eh? To quote Max Holloway, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's I love when he says that, because you can tell he genuinely believes it. There's no kind of animosity for the situation. We talk about this all the time, like being stuck in the forward and how that's kind of anxiety, being stuck in the past, and that's kind of depression. But seeing it what it is, controlling what you can, and just moving forward. Like, I'm so proud of some of my clients this week where lockdown 2's come around and they feel it's like round 2 now with an opponent you've kind of been out with before. It's shit's different this time, you know what I mean? Like, kind of I've been training through first lockdown, and now second lockdowns, they're not too scary, you know what I mean? I know what I'm doing. I've walked this floor before, so yeah, I know the pitfalls, and I feel like they're all going to come out of this one as last time they may have felt a bit scared. This time they're coming out just as leaders, because they're all going to show their families, as much as they did last time, how to get through this, how to kind of keep your head above the water, and not just that, but thrive the whole time, you know. Yeah,
respect, man. Ain't nothing but a thing this time.
Ain't nothing but a thing, yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
they got this, man. They got this. But yeah, it's nice, man. It's the interesting time. I love how the gym industry is currently like rallying, and everyone's kind of coming together. You've got this guy in Liverpool. I'm gonna butcher his name here, but Nick Capo. Is that his name? I think
it's Capo. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. He's got his gym. I don't know what his name of his gym is, but do you know the name of his gym?
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh no, I forgot it. But it's like a bodybuilder style gym, though, I think. Yeah,
definitely. And he just rallied everybody and got them to sign this petition. And I feel like the petition is going to get over 1,000, over 1 million kind of signatures. Wow. I think, because they're at like 700,000 right now. 700,000 people signed this signature. That's sick. And gyms in Wales are opening today.
Okay.
Like, they're from I think they went into lockdown similar time to us again, and they're open already. So there's hope, man. There's hope that we don't have to sit on the sidelines for too long.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I mean, some of the stats that I came across were like, out of the millions of visits that people made since lockdown began to the gym, there's only, at the time, this was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, there'd only been 78 reported cases coming out from gyms, right? So it's like, all right, well, it's a pretty safe place to be.
Still, as a means of measuring, how the hell are you going to know that you didn't go to ASDA before, get COVID from
Yeah.
ASDA, go Pure Gym, and go home and be like, oh, I got COVID from Pure Gym. Let's rack the
Yeah.
numbers up. Sorry,
Yeah.
this is just bullshit. The numbers are all
Yeah.
bullshit. The cases are all bullshit. The people running the show are all bullshit. Like, this is just like,
Yeah.
nah, man. Just keep calm,
Yeah.
people, and carry on. That's it.
That's
Don't
it.
worry. Don't look at these people for your answers because they ain't got none.
That's the thing. They ain't got the answers. They're trying to pretend they got the answers. It's just there's obviously it's an incredibly difficult job to try and figure out how to coordinate something like this, but it's just been done so badly. It's just you got no faith in how they're running the show, and so that means you there's erosion in the words that you use, erosion of trust in the words that you use. So it's like, all right, well, we don't know whether to believe you or not, and that's just obviously clearly making things worse. And you don't have any like quality buy-in.
Good shout, man. Totally good shout. But we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Before we came on air, you said you had a humdinger of a story for us all, bro. So I've been waiting with bated breath.
Yeah.
Let's jump on it.
This is actually what the name is about, right? But it's like this is going to be a roundabout way of explaining it. But essentially, I suppose the only way to say it is to just say it. On Tuesday morning, me and two other strangers talked a dude out of killing himself.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's not what I expected you to say.
No, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Like, so that's like the extremely abbreviated version, right? So it's Tuesday morning, so I was going on a run, and because I live near the Thames, and there's the Thames path, so I'm looping around Southwark Park. I come back, and I'm running along the river, and I'm about 5-6 minutes away from home, and then there's this woman who's like 20-30 meters away from me to the right of my eye line, and she's waving me down. She's got her hand out, and she's just like trying to frantically catch my attention. And I was like, well, what's this? So I just look behind me and go, all right, well, there's no one else. It must be me. So I'm like, pull my headphones out. I start walking up to her, and with her, well, she's next to a dude who's sitting on the railing that overlooks the Thames. The railing's like this thick, yeah. It's like 2 inches thick at the most. And he's got the edge of his ass is sitting on this railing, and he's facing out over the Thames. And he's got a can of beer and a bottle of vodka between his feet. And I'm like, you're just walking up, you're like, okay, this is a slightly unusual scene. I'm getting waved down. And this woman just basically comes out and goes, this man wants to kill himself. I can't leave him. And I need some help. And I just went, and I just got there. I was like, oh shit. All right. Here's an unusual turn to my Tuesday morning. Yeah. And yeah, so that happened. And then basically there was another guy who's like 10-15 feet away from us. He saw what was going on. He started calling the ambulance, right? And so that was the first thing I was going to say to her. I was like, oh, is there anybody you're calling? And then there's this guy there. He's like, I'm calling them. But he keeps himself out of the scene. He's just more like 20-30 feet away, calling on the ambulance. And so yeah, when I approach, she tells me this. I look at the guy. He's bawling his eyes out. He's crying. He's talking about. It turns out this guy, he's got his voice in his head. He's saying, "I've got this voice in his head that's telling me to kill myself," and he's like telling me to just jump. And he's just freaking out. He's shouting. He's screaming. He's like, This fucking voice is just telling me to jump. I didn't have him for 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks, and he all of a sudden he's come back and he's telling me to do all these things, and just screaming about having his voice in his head saying, he's got kids and he feels like a failure for the kids. He had a relationship and that's over, and then he was trying to look after his parents because they had COVID like some months ago, and just the pressures got to him, and then he's lost his job. And he's just screaming about all these kinds of things, and he's saying no one wants to see a man like this, and no one gives a shit about me, and yeah, and then he's just got some cocaine in his pocket as well, and he goes, fuck it, I'm gonna just take some Charlie, and I'm just gonna do what his voice is telling me to do. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, how do you deal with a scenario like that? And I just went through a bit of like a situational analysis. I kind of like looked at everything that was going on, and I'm like, okay, here's this woman, here's this dude. He's talking about jumping. He's starting to pull some cocaine out of his pocket so he can snort it and say, finally, I'm going to do this thing. And I'm overlooking, and I'm looking over, and like the tide's out. So if he jumps, he's going to land on the bank, which is full of rocks, and it's about a 30-foot drop. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, here's the analysis that I've made, which is unless he decides to go ahead first, he's going to do is hurt himself quite badly. So he's not going to kill himself. And he's talking about jumping. Don't know how long he's been there for. And then he starts screaming about like, I need help. I need help. I've got this voice in my head and I need help. So I'm thinking, okay, well, he's literally verbally telling us that he needs help. So this is quite literally, metaphorically, figuratively speaking, all of it. It just looks like it's a cry for help. So I went through this process and I just thought, okay, it just seems like, whether it's right or wrong to assume it, but I was like, just based on everything that's going on, I feel like there's actually quite a low chance of him doing the deed. And so there's all these other things that are going on in my mind. So this is the other interesting thing, is like the things that you kind of learn about yourself while you're going through it, and the kind of thoughts that are going through your mind. So that was one of the things, and I was like, okay, it seems like it's quite a low chance. And but if the intensity rises and it seems like he's going to do something, like what could I possibly do about it? And like, with our jits trading, I started thinking about all the different ways I could just basically fucking grab the guy and pull him down off the railing. So I was like, I don't know, I'll just fucking half Nelson the dude like this, or I'll just come in like this and I'll just take his back and I'll pull him down to the ground. I was like, all these different things that are going through my head, and this is all happening within like the first 60 or so seconds, right? He said all this stuff, I've made all these like so-called calculations in my head, and I'm thinking about how I can possibly just pull him down. Like, can I end this right now? Can I stop this dude from doing something stupid right now, and can I just pull him down? And that was all going through my mind. And I decided not to do that, because I just thought, just on the off chance, like say I pull him down, he whacks his head against the floor, something like that, I injure him, and now there's entirely different situation on our hands. Or, I pull him down and it actually makes him go off the rails even more. He's like, fuck you for trying, like whatever. I just basically decided against it, because at that time I thought the chances are low. I don't want to do anything that will increase the chances of that happening. And because he's talking about people not giving a shit about him, there's me, and then there's a woman, and there's the guy calling for the ambulance. And then there turns out there's a guy down on the banks, because he was taking a walk along the bank. And what happened is that the guy who wanted to jump, he threw his phone down there and he broke his phone. He had like an old school phone as well. It wasn't a smartphone. It was like one of those old school like Nokia 3210s or something. The geezer sees that happen, and he goes up, he starts picking up the guy's phone. He sees that he's talking about jumping, and he's like, mate, I've got your phone, like, stay there, don't do anything, I'm going to come up and give it to you, all right? So then he starts to make his way up. So there's like three of us who are like actively speaking to this guy and with this guy by his side, basically trying to convince him not to do anything. And so he's talking about people not giving a shit, and I started saying, I go, mate, you've got three people right here, right now, who give a shit about what you do next. Okay, so you've got people who care about you. Plus, you're talking about the voice in your head is telling you to do stuff, but you're still here. You're stronger than that voice. You are still here, right now. You don't have to listen to that voice telling you to do these things. And because he was talking about his kids, the woman latched onto that, and she said, how many kids you got? And I just kind of looked at her and I was like, that's good. Just like, it just seemed like a really good thing to do. Just, go on, keep talking about his kids, because there's some, like, give him a reason to live, basically. And she starts asking about his kids. I got 5 kids, and he gives a couple of names like that. These are the oldest kids. The younger ones are this and that. And he just seemed to settle down just a little bit. And then she carried on talking to him, talking about the kids, and saying, I'm sure they want to see you again. I'm sure they're proud of you and everything like that. And he's talking about, like, doesn't want to be essentially like a waste man dad, and he feels like it's a failure for his kids. And then we're essentially there. I don't know how long passes, probably like 15 minutes. And he kind of settled down a little bit, and then he decides to step back off the ledge. And then he's like, you know what, all right, I'll calm down, I'll calm down. So he comes down, he steps off, and then he goes and sits on a bench 5 feet away from the railing. It's like, and then the woman who I was with, she just kind of like held her heart like that, and she just went, oh, it's like, God, I'm so glad he just stepped away. And then he's sitting there, he's still crying. Now there's three of us who are around him, and he's still crying. He's like, I'm a bricklayer, but I got no job. No one wants to see me like this. My girlfriend's like, she's not answering the phone. She's broken up with me. She doesn't care about me anymore. So, just in that zone, I'm just kind of like watching him now, just kind of astounded by the desperation on someone, right? And then an ambulance eventually came. So they finally came. It was probably like 20 minutes or in total. And then he cooperated with them. At first, he seemed like he's like, "No, fuck you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. You want to take me." And then they said, "Look, we're here to help you. We just need a private spot." And then he listened to them, and then he starts going away with the guy from the ambulance. And then before he steps into the ambulance, he turns around to us and he says, "Thank you very much." And it was like, shit.
Massive.
And yeah, he goes with them to take him away. And then the three of us are just left standing there. We're just kind of like looking at each other. And the woman, she said, my heart just went when he came back down. I was just so glad that he came off. And the guy was like, he must be, obviously he's clearly in a really bad way. I didn't really know what to say. And I just, we introduced ourselves to each other. And I said, you know what, good job, thanks for doing that. And then we just went about our way, and I just ran home. And it was nuts. It was nuts because, like, first of all, the kind of, like I said, the desperation that you see on a person is it's quite saddening, right? And then the second thing is the thought in my head is, he's got every chance of slipping through the cracks of the system, and that made me sad too, because if it's somebody who can't afford to can't afford to see a therapist or whoever he needs to see, a psychiatrist, a therapist, talking about voice in his head, so he's practically schizophrenic, he's suicidal, he's talking about having a shit life, he's basically hit rock bottom, and he can't afford to do that. So through the system, through the NHS, I know that on a general mental health level is like, if you're looking for help, you're on a 2-year waiting list, basically 2+ year waiting list, unless you start saying the things that he said. So there's a part of me is like, maybe he knew that, like maybe he's tried to get help before and it hasn't worked, and so this is the end route, this is the way he's got to do it, he's got to say he's going to kill himself, or maybe he genuinely wanted to, whatever it is, I don't know. But the fact that, like, there's that level of desperation, it's just saddening to think that somebody could just slip through the cracks of the system, and you just don't know if maybe next week he's out there in the same sort of situation. But it was pretty mental. Just that was the thing, and that's why, like, Philosophical Brown is my name, because during the whole thing I actually felt like pretty calm and in tune with the whole scenario. Obviously there's a shit ton of stuff that goes through the mind, but like I feel philosophical because I just feel like I approached it in a pretty calm demeanor. Like the whole thing, I don't know, in a strange sort of way, I didn't feel like completely out of my realm, and I just felt kind of calm. And so this is the part about learning a lot about yourself, and when you're thrown into a crazy fucking situation. One thing I really liked about it was, it's crazy to think that there's something to like about a situation like that, but it's just the fact that there were people there, complete strangers, who just came together for no reason, no motivation, except to stop this person from hurting himself. There's a person here who's in desperate need of help, otherwise they might just end it, they might just kill themselves right here, right now, but there were three people actively trying to get this person to not do that. And it's not because of anything except compassion for another human being and just giving a shit about another human being. Because we're in a disconnected city, and we're in a scenario right now where we're thrown into even more disconnection, yet people say fuck all that, we just come together to take care of this person and just to make sure that they're going to be all right, and then we just go about our way. I thought that was like there was something quite beautiful about that. You know, it's just the kind of just the there's a bit of innocence in that as well. It's like all nothing, no motivation for yourself. Is just about taking care of this other person, and you're just kind of left feeling like, okay, there's some hope in humanity with that kind of thing, right? We don't know who this person is. We don't know what's going to happen to them in the sense that there's no vested interest in knowing what happens to this person, but we all gave a shit in that moment, and then yeah, just some mad stuff just comes up in the mind as well, like everything from like the mundane all the way through to the extreme, and the mundane stuff being I've just been waved down and I've been
Mm.
thrown into this situation, and I'm thinking I've got sessions to deliver. You know, I got to get home pretty soon, man. This ain't ideal, and it's amazing. And because the other thing is like whatever people, so there's a tendency to attach meaning to every thought that you have, right?
Mm.
So if you say something or if you have a thought and you make it mean something about yourself, you can make it mean something good, you can make it mean something bad, right? And if I attach anything to that thought, I could make that mean that I'm a complete dickhead for thinking that I'm being inconvenienced. But it's just a thought, and it's a natural one because it's so out of your ordinary to be in a situation like that, that the ordinary day to day is I've got my session to do, you know, I've got my sessions to deliver, I've got my clients to see, they rely on me and to be there. So it's natural for that thought to happen, but I don't attach any weight to it, and I don't give a shit that that thought has come and gone, because what is most important is the action that you take. And the action that I'm taking is I'm going to be here, right now to see this through, regardless of the outcome. And then obviously the that kind of like thinking brain of like, how do I solve this problem? And you know, do I half Nelson the guy? Just thinking about all these different ways I could just like maybe stop this scenario from going any further. Then there's like that situational analysis that's going on, which is okay, what are the chances that this actually goes through in that way that this guy is saying is going to go through with it? Then, you know, what can I say to this person? Is it worth me even saying anything to somebody who's in such a dire situation? But and that was what was interesting, is like, so when he sat down on the bench, when he came down and then sat down on the bench instead, and he's talking about like, you know, being rock bottom, like I had such a strong feeling arising of like just this passionate want to like not see anybody else in that kind of situation, and it's because of the desperation, but also just passionately believing that if this guy believes it, if he gets the right help, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. You know, that was also a thought that I got in my head, which is he can, like, where do you go when you get rock bottom? You can't go any lower. You project yourself up. And he's talking about like, you know, his kids, like, you know, he doesn't want them to see him like this, and you know, who wants to parent who's essentially a deadbeat like that. And I was just there, and in my head I was like, you know, you can be the inspiration for your kids if you choose to be, if you have that wherewithal, or if you get the right help and you know things start to fall into place for you, like you can do that, you have that capacity. And but I just didn't say those things. It was so interesting, whereas like, I got this desire to, you know, try and be the hype man, you know, hype man Brown for this person, but also holding it back a bit, because the thinking was how much of it is going to sit and register with this person, but also being a little bit self-conscious because I'm surrounded by a couple of other people, and they might just be thinking is like, you know, who the fuck are you to tell this person that? It was really interesting how I kind of held myself down, because at the end of the day I could say all that stuff, even if it doesn't register, at least I gave it the opportunity to register, you know. And that was that, yeah, that was the interesting part, which was there was a part of me, and it's the honest part of me as well. I wanted to say these things. I wanted to like show the person in any way, even just like a glimmer, whatever it could be, that there is hope, that you've got a reason to live because you're talking about your kids, and you can show them how to live as well. You can show them that okay, you can have a problem, but you can deal with that problem. And I'll never, yeah, I don't, yeah, it's not that I'll never know. Who knows what happens, but I don't think I could ever know what it's like to be in that situation. But at the same time, I feel like I would just just try and do anything to make sure that that's not that you can always come out of that situation. And so, yeah, and then also like slightly impressed with myself in a way is like, okay, I could just keep it. I could keep it calm. I could try and keep a clear head
Mm-hmm.
as much as possible, and then just thankful, just super
Mm.
grateful. You know that there's these people who came together. Just super grateful for life, for my life. As sad as it is, that contrast in having a person like that around shows you how shit things could get for you, but also how good you really have it, how good you could have it. There's just so many things that came from it, and yeah, I went into my sessions like everything was normal, on Tuesday, and yeah, just taking it like philosophical brown.
Love it, bro.
That's
Love
basically
it.
it.
That's a crazy story, bro. I was not
It's
expecting
mad.
you to come. I was not expecting to hear that today. That
Yeah,
is a
man.
crazy
That was
story.
is yeah.
And you know the way you painted it, I can picture it really vividly. The lady, yourself, the other guy off in the distance, obviously the guy there, the guy kind of on the beach, on the beach front, kind of on the base level. Yeah, man, that's it's almost like a bit of a test for all of you in that instance, right? Because like this guy's there testing himself, and he's like, I'm about to just end this test. I can't be asked this anymore. I'm on my way out, and then you're there like, no, my life tells me different. Let me offer you my perspective. And the lady's obviously doing the same thing. And you got the guy with the phone. You've got your guy ringing the ambulance. There's so many people acting for him. I guess you guys kind of raised his sails a little bit to the point where he's just thinking, oh, okay, I'm willing to risk it on these strangers. Hopefully, my family can actually give me this, and I can give it back to them. But yeah, bro, you kind of offered an escape for him, which wasn't the ultimate escape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. So well done, bro. I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, bro. It's
Huge.
yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's yeah, it is. It was big. It was just such a it's like just to walk away from it and just still have a normal day just felt
Mm,
like yeah, just kind of blend it kind of blended into the day. I don't know, maybe it's something to do with like the way I approach things in that I'm pretty self-aware, and so if it like I know it's affected me, but I've got a maybe I've got a good way of dealing with it, and yeah, just approaching it, and also yeah, it just maybe I'm learning from the scenario in real time so much that it's I was just yeah, I don't know, just being able to assimilate it. I think talking about it is key,
mhm.
because then you can gather the events, you can gather the thoughts, you can gather what it means, and you can gather your own perspective and really try and figure out what that means. Yeah, there were a lot of lessons from it, and I think it's just yeah, I was surprised in a way that I was kind of like pretty philosophical about it, but it's a nice surprise. It's a good surprise. So it kind of just tells you in a way, it's like okay, something crazy can happen, but maybe there's a way that you can. There's a setting in me that can handle that. you know.
The roots are deep, bro. The roots are deep. That's the way I'd kind of uh, analogize that. Is this is a thing that can easily try and shake you and pull you out of your comfort zone, out of your kind of this garden that we kind of try and live in, right? But it's that's the whole point of planting these flowers in the first place, right? Is that when that storm comes, you want to know that you've got all this backup to kind of
Yeah.
come through with, and it's not just like you said about peppering him with the Rocky Balboa quotes about life is
Yeah.
hard, and yeah, it is that, but it isn't that at the same time. It's about the self awareness of knowing, okay, let me just go at this guy with his own life, though your kids and how I don't even know, but at the same time, it's just that awareness, that full awareness of the situation, as opposed to just rushing in like a bull in the china shop. And it's such a delicate thing because fucking hell, man, that's this guy's life. You know what I mean? That doesn't
Yes.
get any more. There's nothing past that. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
literally nothing. There's no decisions now because you went left and you should have gone right. You know what I mean? There's yeah, that's a huge thing. And like you said,
Yeah.
I bet afterwards you're kind of in this. You're doing your thing, but it's just life kind of gently reminding you of the preciousness that we have, right? I mean, that's especially in this kind of country where we can be so effective, and so we can actually have so much effect on the world because we're in a position where we can go through the right channels or learn about this and learn about that and move ourselves forward. For someone to have all this but still be in that kind of position, it's really sad. It's like you said, it's not easy on him at all. So yeah, bro, I hope he, wherever he is, he's doing okay.
Yeah, exactly, man. I hope so. I think yeah, for people listening as well, because this is a time where, well, first of all, there is a mental health issue and crisis anyway, right? And then because like, let's say, like, suicide rates amongst youngsters, young girls, young boys, or self-harm amongst young girls, that's rising. There's the highest rate of suicide is, like, like white middle-aged men, I think it is. This geezer, that guy fit that bill. I think he might have been white. Might have been white. He was white. He's might have been middle-aged. I don't know, because somebody just looks so haggard at that stage. You could be 30, you could be 50, but because of just what life is doing to you, can't actually tell how old you are. And then you were in a situation where I was talking about, we're in disconnected cities, so city life isn't exactly conducive to living a mentally stable life. So when you have the rug pulled from under your feet with community, with close relationships, with a steady job, with good nutrition, good movement, like managing stress, all those different things, then it becomes so much easier for you to think that that's the right path to go down, right? That the only way out is to end it all. And with the current situation of the pandemic as well, people are talking about being super anxious. Their mental health is deteriorating, and they just don't feel like there's a lot that they can do about it. So here's what I know from a neuroscientific basis, but also just a human basis, like the things that have always worked well to keep us thriving is human movement and human connection. So there's this beautiful thing that is this neuroscientist called Lisa Feldman Barrett, and she's written a couple of books. And one of the lines that she says, I listened to on her podcast recently, and it was such a profound line because it just goes to show how important we are to each other. He's like, the best thing for a human nervous system is another human being. The worst thing for a human nervous system is another human being. Because that's how important it is to have social interaction and social connection. Because we are wired.
Good social connection, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Wholesome.
And that's it. So it's like, if it's bad, then yeah, you're fucked. If it's good, then you're better. You're being propelled. You're sailing. You're flying. And because we are wired for connection. And then the other thing is, I mentioned it in another podcast, which is pretty much the sole reason your brain exists is to navigate you through environment. The only reason you really actually have senses like vision, smell, touch, taste is to help you survive another day, so you can navigate yourself through environment. And so human movement is key to it. You're getting a situation where, all right, gyms is one aspect of health and fitness, and it's a big aspect when you live in a westernized country. So you're getting that taken away from you, and then you're getting told that the best way for you to stay healthy is to not mingle with people. When loneliness has been shown to increase the chances of early death by 50 to 90%. It doesn't matter if you don't feel lonely. Because you're lonely, you're more likely to die early because you don't have social connection. So again, because your brain is wired for it, and because your brain is wired for it, the more you do it, the better your whole body and being feels, not just your brain. It's like it makes everything better. So you got a scenario where your human movement is being depleted. You got a scenario where human connection is being taken away from you. So what is the best thing that you can do for yourself in this situation? Is try and keep those connections going strong as much as possible, and get movement in your day however the fuck you can find it. It doesn't have to be at a gym. You just need to go outside and go for a walk. It could be as simple as that. But is just that's what being in that situation on Tuesday showed me, is just that I just don't want to see anybody in that situation. Just, if I can do anything about it, if by sharing what I know about what it is to be healthy, which by extension improves the quality of your life and reduces the chances of you wanting to do something like kill yourself, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to fucking share that information and make sure that people feel like they're excelling rather than going down in the dumps.
Too right, man. Too right. There's a podcast I'll listen to this week. Not a podcast, sorry, a video vlog or whatever. Basically, a workout between Jordan Shallow and a guy called, I think his name is Adil Khan. And he's a doctor out in Canada. And one of the things he touched on in the podcast, and one of the things he touched on in the video, was he phrased it like muscle. Muscle is the organ of longevity. And the way when you put it like that, I was like, wow, that's you can basically chalk that up to train yourself, and it will look after you by making you basically get through your days easier. You know what I mean? The same way that you mentioned your senses and how they can help you traverse your life. We're so lucky to have this outlet, because the way you described earlier this guy and how you couldn't tell whether he was 30 or 50 because that's what he had done to himself. So he was almost wearing that on his face, or what life had kind of done to him. On the flip side, I can't tell how old you are, and that's for the better reasons, you know what I mean, because you've looked after yourself in a way that your body clearly agrees with, you know what I mean. And that's obviously, it's a lot to do with circumstance. What I'm trying to say is that he's a bad person because he's had a hard life and he's wearing it on himself. But I think it's for everybody out there, no matter what the circumstance is, if movement, if exercise, if kind of getting out of your head to get into your body can be done, 1,000,000%, man. That should be at the forefront of it. And like you said, it's kind of the perfect storm right now of separation, confined to your home. And I know some people are taking this so seriously. I feel like sometimes I was joking with one of my clients the other day, like our Asian people, we sometimes flaunt these rules more than we should, you know what I mean? Like having like family gatherings, or like, I'm not really taking it seriously. And obviously we should take this seriously. It's not a good thing that we don't. But I feel like something that we always kind of, I know in our households, we'll always kind of stay active. Whereas, unfortunately, a lot of the people in our same cultures won't. You know what I mean? They won't kind of put this stuff at the forefront. But it is super important. Like one thing I'm doing right now for some clients is, these aren't even clients. They're just basically numbers and names that I got on the last few days before we went into lockdown. And I was like, I'm just going to send you guys out some videos. I'm going to send you guys some videos on breathing, some guys some videos on some basic exercises, just doing them through lockdown. Like it's not a case of payment. It's not a case of kind of knowing anything past this. It's like, if you want some help, here's some help. Like, just take it, and like hopefully it does you good. You sleep a bit better. You worry a little bit less. You move a little bit more. And there's a latch there. You know what I mean? There's you can form a hook that you can kind of latch onto, and all of a sudden your life is tethered a bit more. Whereas without it, you're just a kite with no string. You know what I mean? You're just kind of all over the place.
Completely.
That's and it's an amazing thing, bro. It's an amazing thing. That should be keep coming back to it, but really proud of yourself, because it's almost like the training had to come out, and then here's like, okay, like let me just test this kid and see what he's got, see where his metal is, and came out well, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I hope so. Well, certainly, like from at the very least, is like I said, there's lots to learn from a scenario like that, because it's like, you know, here's everyday life, and here's the little lessons that you're learning, and they're making you a little bit better. And then here's a day, and then fucking Tuesday comes along, and everything jumps up to this level over here, like a million times the kind of lessons you could have learned on a regular day. And like just touching on that point actually, where I said, you know, the thoughts that you have, and one of the thoughts was me thinking about, I've got clients to see, you know, this is a bit of an inconvenience. And I want to make that point, which is you are not your thoughts, and it's so important to understand that, because so many people can have a thought and they feel like it's usually in the direction of putting themselves down, because they feel like the thought they had was a heinous thought, and they're like, "Oh, I should never be thinking things like that. This is awful, and I feel like a terrible person." I could easily feel like a terrible person for having a thought like that, but I don't, because I recognize it's just a thought, and it's not the thought that matters, it's the action. Like I said earlier, it's the action that matters, and the action was, I know I'm going to stay here, right now, and I feel like that's the right thing to do. So there's, if you want to look at it from like a brain scan neuroscientific point of view, if you're seeing like thoughts happen, like these pathways are firing, and they're talking about 60 to 80,000 firings per day, which is suggesting that you're having like 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day that just run through your mind. And if you're going to put weight on every single one of those thoughts, is if you do that, you're fucking exhausted, and you'll probably kill yourself, because a lot of those thoughts, end up being quite negative thoughts as well, because we tend to be quite self-critical of ourselves. Or you say something, you're like, why the fuck did I just say that? Or you do something, you're like, oh, why did I just do that? The other day I went to took my peanut butter out of the cupboard. I had some peanut butter, I was going to put it back in the cupboard. Instead, I opened the fridge and I started putting it in the fridge. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Where's my head at? So we do little things like that as well. It's just like beat ourselves up for like being absent-minded in the moment. It's like, I was literally about to put it in there. And because, you can have moments like that across the day. So, if you're constantly going to do that, and especially if you have like, I had a thought in a serious situation like this, like maybe this is a bit of an inconvenience and I shouldn't be here. Doesn't matter. I don't have to put any weight on it. I don't put any weight on it. It was just one of those thoughts. I kind of, in a way, I was like, I smiled about that thought. I was like, oh, this is interesting that I had this thought. And then all the other things that come up, massive lessons in terms of like the last thing that I said, which was seeing, like, I don't want to know, like, if there's a way that I can help in any kind of way, to prevent a situation like that from happening, i.e. prevent somebody from ever feeling like this is the way out, then I'm going to do what I can, because at the end of the day, one of my core values and one of the things that I teach through my program is first of all, it's about evolving, like our podcast title, Evolve, Achieve, Thrive, right? You evolve, you achieve a little bit of something, and you thrive, and you repeat that circle. You keep evolving, that means you keep achieving and you keep thriving. And so that's hugely important in my life. And I know, again, based on the things, like the tenets of living a good life, if you're not doing those things, then you're stagnating, and it's worse than stagnation. You go backwards. So there's no such thing as staying still, because anytime you try and do that, the way I describe it for me is I'll be entering this vacuous mediocrity. And that's the worst place for me to live. I don't like being in that place, because everything just feels shallow and empty, and I'm not doing anything useful. I'm not feeling like I'm doing anything useful. So that's one of the kind of tenets of, or like one of the principles that I base my programming on as well, is like making sure you're evolving, making sure you're achieving, making sure you're thriving, and you're breaking through limits. So whatever it is, whatever limits you place on yourself, because you can have that thought pattern that you're worthless, that you're shit, but at the end of the day, it's just a thought, because you can break that line of thinking by taking a small action towards you being in a better place. And its action is more important than the thought they have. So if you just take that action, you're always better off. So just break through the limits that you place on yourself. Don't fuck about in that area.
Too right, man. So many things you touched on there, bro. Big stuff, bro. I don't know what to jump on. The thing that's coming to my mind is I'm gonna make light of a horrible situation, but at the same time,
You have to.
The guy's phone would have been fine, bro. It's 3210. It's easy.
Exactly.
Stop going nowhere, yeah. So bounce back up and land up to his hand and be like, oh shit, like flubber.
Yeah, that's it.
We're good.
I remember doing that back in the day as well. When I used to have those brick phones, I was like, how indestructible is this thing really? And I used to fucking launch it against the wall. And I'd be like, shit, this thing doesn't break. And if it does, it snaps in half, but that's where the latch is. and then I'll just put it back together again and just try again.
Easy peasy, man. Easy peasy. So
Yeah,
there's things to look up to, man. Your phone's fine.
yeah,
So that's you
yeah,
dropped it, but it's
exactly.
okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it. Yeah, but
exactly.
yeah, it's a crazy thing, bro. It's a crazy thing, and
Mm.
do you know what? It's actually happened to me in a weird way. A
Mm.
similar thing. Um,
Well,
I wasn't gonna tell the story, but fuck it. This I was going. I was what 17, 16, 17 years old.
mm.
And I was part of a boxing club, and at the like midway point of the session, we'd always break out for a jog, and I would hate running when I was younger. I was so like you know when you understand running now, and you understand the lack of core strength or the lack of like capacity to bear a run that I had when I was younger. And that's why I hated it, because it
Yeah,
just felt like I was carrying 100 kilos when I was 16, 17. These are the kids that are like carrying 50 kilos.
yeah,
I'm just like, this is why it's hard.
yeah,
Bloody hell. Someone tell me this shit, right? And
yeah.
so
Wow.
we leave the gym. We run across. We run by the river, and we're running down, and there's just this guy just standing there with his arms on the railing on the other side, and the whole troop runs past him, and there's about three mates in
Mm.
front of me, and I'm looking at him like, and I stop, and I'm just like, I know what's happening. You just know. You're a kid, but you just know it's
Fuck.
what are you doing, man? Like, get back on this side. Like, what are you playing at? And obviously, at that age, you don't have any awareness to any of the things we talk about now. But still, you're just like, and I remember kind of some of the guys from the club just being like, "Come on, just it's fine. Like, you'll be okay." I'm like, I can't go anywhere. Are you mad? Like, this
Yeah.
guy's just about ready to very similar situation to what you're talking about. Remember the River Tees. It's a big old river, and there's no bank. It's just straight into the water.
Mm.
And that shit's deep, and you're getting carried away, like you're gone. And I just remember standing there and being like, the rest of the team's kind of gone. I'm partially thinking, fuck it, I don't want to jog anyway, right? And I just here talking to this guy, like, mate, it's okay, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, it's fine. Like, not
Fuck.
understanding really what he has to say, but just talking to him, being like, it's okay, like, and he's bawling his eyes out. I'm going, I want to jump, I want to do this, I want to do that,
Fuck,
and
bro.
yeah, just hear it, and thinking, why? Like, you don't need anything, like, just chill. But I think after about 2 or 3 minutes, felt like a flipping hour, but it wasn't that long because the guys who were jogging weren't that far away.
Mm.
A carpool like screeches into the scene up on the road, and there's a bit of a bank coming down to a grassy bit. There's a woman kind of runs out of the car. It's like, don't do it, don't do it, like kind of screaming at him, shouting at him, and he's there like, don't come near me, I'm gonna do it, or whatever. And I'm just there
Fucking
like,
hell.
like, don't, like, can we get one of my mate to stop with me as well? And we're all just super tense. And she ends up kind of talking to him, ends up kind of getting him to come back over the railing, and yeah, we just carry on with our jog. But I just remember kind of exactly like what you've talked about here, that feeling of like, you don't need to do this. Like, I don't want you to
Mm.
be in this position. I don't know you, but I'd
Mm.
rather you didn't do this. Like, you
Mm.
don't know the details of it, but yeah, the feeling is very, very all encompassing, because you
Mm-hmm.
can't even, there's nothing going on in your mind apart from just this one human. What came to mind when you were talking was, how you say, like, how Jordan Peterson talks about like nodes in a network. You're just
Mm.
like, I'm witnessing one of our nodes just about going now. What I mean, we
Yeah,
know,
man.
we hopefully we need this. You're like, we're not hopefully, but I feel like we need this. What I mean, like, you're here for a
Mm.
reason, and if I'm interacting with you right now, I need to know that I exacted on my potential, whatever it is right now, to kind of make you think, or maybe we can give you a few more minutes so somebody else can make you think, and yeah, get you back over the thing. But it's a crazy situation to be in, bro. Crazy situation.
Yeah, fuck.
When you started talking, it took me right back to that moment. And I remember
Wow.
just being young and not really thinking about it, and then going home and like kind of telling my parents about it and telling them things about it, and then not really understanding it. When you say it, you kind of just skip over it because you don't really want to delve into it because there's maybe a
Mm.
lot of emotion there. There's a lot of feeling there. You think, oh shit, this actually happened. This guy was gonna just end his life. Like, what the hell? What is this?
Yeah.
What is this, man? But yeah, like you touched on afterwards as well. This is the reality for a lot of people. What I mean?
Mm.
It's really sad to think that we are in this position of like, for us, the hobby kind of calls us the millionaires of humankind, because we have so much in some instances, compared to people that have come before us. But still, people get into these positions where there's not much that they not much that they want to try for, or they feel like they can't do anything. But yeah, man, it's very sad, and I feel like what you talked about with human connection, it's rich. I feel kind of not right giving advice in this kind of situation, but you feel like you have to as well, because someone listens to this and they feel the exact one. Why not? You know what I mean? But you have to find good people around you. Sometimes that's YouTube. Literally, sometimes that's typing in Jordan Peterson. It's listening to what the man has to say, or sometimes it's typing in, I don't know, Sophia Bush, listening to her talk about random shit. Sometimes talking about just anybody, right? People that have a good thing to say, whether it be these guys, David Letterman, or Dave Chappelle, or anybody, right? That's still nodes in this network. They're out there somewhere. They're not here right now with you, but sometimes you can just rely on that to just give you a little bit of something. And yeah, you never know, man. You never know, that could help you kind of pull your way out of wherever you are right now.
Yeah, completely. And on the point about it being a reality for a lot of people, I want to riff on that a little bit and just explore something, which is something we've mentioned before, where you've got reality, but really the only thing you're ever seeing is your perspective. You're not seeing reality for what it is, because reality is too big to absorb, right? You're only getting your own perspective on that reality. Like, here's the circle of reality, and like, you are just this dot over here. So the dot is only going to be able to see that portion of the pie, basically. But the more like the kind of like the further out you expand from that, the more of that part of the pie you can see. Or there's another way of looking at it, is like like a cone kind of thing. But anyway, the point being that you're only going to be you only see the world through your own eyes, which is an obvious thing to say, but that's also to say that there's so much that you're missing from that, and you can shift your perspective. You can change your perspective. So instead of thinking that this is my reality, this is the reality that I face, and there's no other way out of it, is like, well, actually, how about you change, you take a step to change the way you perceive that reality, and all of a sudden you realize there's another way of approaching the problem. So on a rudimentary, on a level which isn't about life or death, this is about, am I healthy or am I not? Am I overweight? Am I not? Am I fit? Am I not? Somebody who comes to see us for training is at a level where, I see people who have aches and pains, and then want to lose a little bit of weight along the way, but really want to regain confidence in their bodies and feel like they can use their bodies the way they're supposed to be able to use them. So they're in a situation where they're not feeling good within their body. Now, you can stay there because you have this belief, or you have this perspective that it's not worth changing, or you can't change it. Or you can decide that there's a better place for you to be, and that's a little bit of a perspective shift, and you can say, hey, I can change this scenario, I can get fitter, I can get healthier, I can have the body that I want to have. And so what you've done there is you've changed your perspective, and then you change your reality. So the idea is that your reality is never fixed as well. So if you're in that dire situation where you think that this is the only way things can be, it's not, because it will require hard work to think a different way, to be a different way, to act a different way. But the moment you take that challenge on, you've changed your life. You've literally changed your life in that moment.
It's almost like in that moment, you the only wherewithal you need is to understand you only have one piece of the puzzle, and once you gain the perspective, or once you keep hold of the understanding that you only have one piece, and you need to pivot to the left, pivot to the right, and gain the full picture, it's then when you can fully make an informed decision, right? And I feel like a lot of these instances, I can say it's about people that I've known in my own life, that they kind of go through life with one hammer, and they just kind of apply the same method to everything, right? It's like if you're a hammer, everything is a nail. Where you give them a different set of tools, you give them a different set of perspectives. They all of a sudden their energy can now be applied wholly when they do see a nail, and correctly when they see a screw, because they now have a screwdriver to kind of work with. And that's why these conversations, like we talked about earlier, are so important, because I personally, I know I'm fair, I've talked to you as well, you leave them with so much more antidote for people. You know, I mean, people kind of come to you, and like, for instance, Emily's chat last week, Nick D's chat before, they're so dual in their application for people, but the perspective and the light they can shed on people's lives are still so valuable. Sometimes you need a big heavy barbell on your back to tell you what time it is. Sometimes you do need a nice conversation and no judgment to pull you away from just expressing yourself, letting you know that someone's hearing you. So it's like, I love what you said there, bro, about gaining perspective on the situation and then kind of making a decision. You would hope that a situation couldn't be that dire where you've exhausted all the possibilities, and you still arrive at the situation where it's like, yep, no, this is not for me. And along the way, you're actually like, oh, okay, I can figure this out by doing this. I can improve myself, or I can improve the situation, and we can still move forward.
Yeah, and I think what's great about it is also you don't even have to see it from a different perspective. You just have to realize that there is a different perspective. You know what I mean? It's like there's a difference.
You have to want there to be a different perspective.
Yeah.
Almost, right?
That's it. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know, is that there is a different perspective. You don't even have to know what it is. You just need to know that there is, and then that can change how you approach things. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go and try and incorporate that different perspective. All right, life is shit. Okay, that's a perspective. Let me see what the other perspective is saying. And I wonder to what extent is like, people might look at it and convince themselves, they're seeing it from so many different perspectives. Because this is the thing, it's like everything is so fucking complicated. It's not straightforward. Everything's nuanced. It's like you can convince yourself that you're seeing it from every perspective, but you never are. You just can't, because it's unfathomable to experience it from every perspective, experience life from every perspective. That's another reason why community is so important. It's why having people that you can rely on is so important, just having a different perspective. I say it quite regularly now as well. It's like, it's a good thing that I know you, because you've completely helped balance me out in a different way. It's like, I always go softly, easy, mobility, stability. And then you've come along and you've been like, let's fucking hammer it out in the gym, do the strength work, and let's make sure you're working hard. And it's like, that's not to say the other stuff wasn't hard work, but this is the stuff, like you said, put yourself under a barbell and then you know what time it is. That's the kind of stuff I needed. Same with Sylvia, is just that level of training, and meeting a human being like that who is built of different stuff is it was such an important thing to help me be better, be different, and be better, and just incorporate those different things. And then my brother is my brother, for example. We have grown up together. We're super close in the sense, and that not just relationship wise, but also quite similar as people, but also he sees things in a different way. He's quite he's very intellectual, and he reads different things, especially since we've been living apart for the number of years that we have now. So he's got a different perspective because he reads different things, and I read different things, or I see different things, or I watch different things and stuff like that. So we can come together, and he's given me a new way of thinking about something as well. And it's important to have those different human beings in your life, or go seek them out, or because you could be somebody who doesn't have those kinds of connections. You might start realizing that, especially through this lockdown period, in a way it's beautiful to find out that the people aren't really good for you, or they aren't as close as you thought they were. The only reason you ever saw them was because you were out drinking with them. Then it sucks because you lose a circle, but at the end of the day, go find out what your values are then, and go and meet people who align with those values, because it can be done. It's there's always possibility. There's always something out there for you. It doesn't matter how complex the situation is if it's complex, then that means there's a lots of different ways that you could be getting fucked, but then that also means there's lots of different ways that you could solve your problem.
That's it, man. That's so true. That's so true. I was reading an article by Jordan Shallow yesterday. This is a little bit of a segue, but I feel it ties in. And the article is titled "I Want to Hold It," and it's a brilliant article, man. I've got to give the guy a shout out. We've not talked about him in a few weeks, but
Yeah.
if there's like
Send it to me. Send it
yeah,
to
I'll
me.
send it to you, man. So it's on. He's written it for Elite FTS,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it's such a wicked article because basically he talks about the title being "I Want to Hold It" comes from a powerlifter called Kirk Kowalski, and this guy in a video squats 1,000 pounds twice, bruh, twice, right? Not once,
Yeah.
twice, and then I'll send you the video afterwards as well because it'll give you chills, right? Bearing in mind this is what 450 kilos.
Yep. 400. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking heavy, right? Like
For a squat. Jesus.
for a double,
How
bro.
big?
For a double, and he walks it out. He walks it out. He doesn't. He doesn't. Imagine that. For a second, you've got it on one leg, bro. You've got it on one. Can you picture that for a second? Can you just pause? I
Oh,
need to
sure. Yeah.
pause. Think about it, right? Because a monolith, you lift it off the rack, they pull the hook out of the way, and you squat down. You don't step out. This guy picks it out of a rack and takes a step, and takes another step, and takes another step, and he's set, right? And then he just bangs out 2 squats. And these ain't like sometimes you see like powerlifter squats, and you see them going through a small range of motion, and it's not, bro. He's burying this thing. His knees are over his hips in the bottom position, and he's sunk it twice, and then he stands up, and the room full of spotters, right? Room full of spotters, room full of hype men, like are just kind of going in for him, giving him all the energy, right? I picture like Goku with the spirit bomb, just like give me your energy, right? They're all just giving it him, right? So he hits out 2 reps, and then he stands there, and he just goes, and the spotters are like, okay, let's go back in, let's go back in. And he goes, no, I want to hold it. I want to hold it. And he stands there. And he just stands there with 1,000 kilos on his back. And he goes, okay, now let's walk it in. And he walks it in on his own, like, I just want to stay here for a minute. I need to feel this pressing my being into the earth. I need to feel this. I need to feel that I'm in between it and the earth. And I'm saying, no, I want to hold it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, bro. After well, I was halfway through the article, and I had to go away, and I had to just I had to watch the video, and I'll send you the video because it comes like a package, right? But just the link back to the conversation we were having is basically like he's talking about perseverance in the article and how you've got to find something to keep you true, keep you on, you know. I mean, and he references Buddha, and he references the Bible, and he references a few different kind of quotes through the article, all talking about perseverance, persistence, and not kind of just giving in, but instead finding a way to stay, you know. I mean, just to stay on your path, and I'm not going to go into it too much because I can't quite put the words together right now, but it's such a powerful article. I remember reading it, and he wrote it for mental health awareness month,
Right.
just to basically say like this is an extreme example, but it screams that we can have the control if we want to have this control. It's there to basically exact on, but you've just got to be willing to put the work in, and it doesn't really stop. You know, I mean, it doesn't really stop. You've got to hold yourself to that account all the time. Then you get to a stage where you just do it. You do the thing to have the power. We talk about this all the time, right? And yeah, man, it was so powerful. I was sat here last night watching the video, and then I showed it to my mum as well, and I read the article with her as well, and it was just like, this is legit. But at the same time, I could draw parallels with what he was talking about and my mum, because there's a level of staying power that she has with her own faith that is just like it's legit. You know what I mean? It's so real. It's so real that you just don't see that. It's not a common thing nowadays. But then you see it in different ways with what the video showed yesterday, how the article talks about it. You start to pull at people and think, okay, this person has it. Sylvie has it. You know what I mean? He'll seek out the uncomfortability because he knows it's it's a commodity that he needs. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was special. I'll send you after this, bro. Wicked article.
Yeah.
You'll love it.
Yeah, big time. And then when you're talking about the staying power in terms of faith of your mum, is this faith in religion or faith
Yeah,
in people?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, faith in religion for her. I think people have let her down through her life, as many people have, right? As many people's lives have had these people that kind of like they're there one minute and they're kind of float away the next. But she's always been kind of steadfast in her faith, and I feel like I've said this to her. I said the days that I spend living the way you live are really good for me. And what I mean by that, the main thing I mean by that, because I think connection with your God or your higher calling, your higher power, is very personal. Like I can't emulate that from her, nor can I from anybody else. But the routine of showing up 5 times a day, sometimes it can be more than that, and checking in with those. Thank you for letting me have this time. Thank you for, and who are you thanking really? I mean, like kind of yes, you're thanking God, but really you're just grateful in the moment, right? You're just kind of having a reflection on your own life and being like, I am so happy I get to be clear in my thoughts, to have thoughts, to have thoughts that I have thoughts. You know, I mean, you can start diving into that rabbit hole and really just get deep with it. But it's it's the act of doing that multiple times through the day, which keeps me so centered. And I know it does it for her. So it's that where I see with some people, and you can link it back to training, where some people will do a workout every other day and they'll just scratch the surface of what they're actually able to feel and able to experience. But when you get deeper into that, if your life allows that, or even if it doesn't, sometimes you just got to find a way of making it a mainstay. It's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer. Like the who you are, like you said, perspective. The lessons I've learned before from just training, then you end up just laughing your way through a workout because you think this is so legit. This is exactly what my life needs right now. I'm being taught it by an inanimate object. It's yeah, man. It's cool. It's really special, man.
Completely. You mentioned tethered earlier, right? Otherwise, you're just a kite flying in the wind with nothing holding you on. And I think, again, being in a scenario like we're in as a collective civilization is just, we're left being shown that a lot of us are just like kite flying untethered in the wind because we got no anchors. We've got no real anchors. What we thought were anchors. I alluded to the point earlier where, if you realize that, if during this period you realize that the friends that you have are just drinking buddies and there's nothing else to it than that, then you're gonna do well to find out what your values are and go and find people who align with those values so that you can actually have some meaningful relationships and conversations and connections. And the one thing that has done is kept her tethered, is all right, well, everything else, other people might be letting me down, but I've got this anchoring activity, I've got this anchoring belief, faith, activity, way of being, let's put it that way, which keeps me going. And there's some thoughts that have arisen in recent times, and like from conversations with my bro, and but also just how kind of, like, again, just delving into some neuroscience and stuff like that. And there's things I'm starting to extrapolate and infer. And one of them is, like, first of all, we live in a secular society, but I think that on some level, what people don't realize they're missing from a secular society is something that religion brings, which is the sense of community, the sense of gratitude for existing, which is what prayer does, right? And the sense of a life worth living, which is also worth living because it's bigger than yourself. And that's what the idea of a God is in one sense, is that there's something out there that's bigger than you, and you serve that, you serve it. And so, as a way of bringing it down to this, or way of relating it on the secular level, shall we say, is the work that we do, for example, in a way is like I'm expressing myself through the work that I do. Last week, like Emily said, she is not a coach. She's not a coach. She does coaching for a living, And whereas for me, I feel like the things that I extend out is like these are I what I put out there is how I define myself as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so that isn't to say that if I'm not a coach tomorrow, then I'm nothing. I know there's different things to it, but this is the way that I express myself in this moment and in this moment in time. And so, and I feel like me doing it is not just about me, it's about something bigger than that because of the people that it can affect. And I feel like the things that I'm learning and the things that I'm putting into practice are not, in a strange ways, I'm not doing it just for myself. So I feel like I'm doing it for myself, but it also feels like it's there's a for another reason. And it might be that, one of the thoughts I had is like, it might be that I'm learning all this stuff and putting into practice all this stuff so that I can teach it to my future generations, so to teach to my kids if and when I end up having them. And so it just feels like there's something bigger than you in it, and then there's a deeper purpose there for it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's with a scenario that arises like now with, let's call it the pandemic era, it just shows how untethered we really are, and which is a big reason why there's okay, you can't ever account for anything like this, and something like this will have a big impact on how you approach life. Anybody will suffer because there's such a level of uncertainty that arises that you don't know how to deal with it. And what your brain is always doing is looking for certainty as well. So it's always looking for the best way out of uncertainty. And if it can't find it, then you've got anxiety. But again, the way to buffer against that is to have all these things that we talked about earlier: human connection, human movement, are two of the biggest things that you can do. And having a faith is going to be one of those things as well. Whether it doesn't have to be religious, but it can be something. But I think what people are actually looking for is something religious, and they just don't know it because there's this forget about all the celestial stuff. Put that aside. You don't have to believe in supernatural stuff, but is a codified way of living that has been baked into religion, which actually hacks into, you could look at it that way, hacks into our neuropsychology, which shows the best way to live and shows the most, if by best way to live is is being measured by how content you are and how meaningful you feel like your life is, which I'd say most people are going for. But because there isn't that, and it's difficult to find that when it's kind of not bestowed upon you, you have to figure out a little bit for yourself. There's a lot of untethered beings out there, and then mental health issues go through the roof. So there's, in a way, it's kind of finding that equivalent of religion for you, and using that to live a more meaningful life.
Too right, man. Too right. I think the word that comes to mind is intent. Intent with faith, I think, is a big one, because in my faith, I'll see this all the time. I'll see kind of practitioners of the faith, and they're preaching like they're holier than thou, and they have the full get up, and they will spend hours and hours and hours kind of rattling away at scriptures and just preaching and having this like constant what's the word, recitation, like going through them. But then the first opportunity that presents itself for them to be truly kind and truly kind of wholesome to another person, and it's almost like, I'll see there, but I have to kind of, I'm off my way to kind of just be a bit more on it with my my faith and whatever. And it's that is such a blank spot for me. Whereas I see people kind of going through their day and they have a true handle on their own intention to be a good person, and I almost see that as the biggest faith that you can really have is that I know that I'm trying to do good, and as a result, whatever comes of it hopefully will be good, if that makes sense. Like whereas I feel like people with or without a religion or a set of values, the real thing that you've got to kind of tether to, in my experience, is that intent. Is like I was reading this thing the other day, which was like be the person your dog thinks you are, right? It's such a simple, such a simple thing, right? But it's so true. It's
That's
like
so great.
my dog's looked at me before and just had this elated look on his face, like, walk? We're gonna go for a walk? Like, that is everything, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you can't be a shithead in that moment. You just can't,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's just impossible for you to just be a bad person. You carry that energy with you. The
That's
intent that
great.
he has is just to be happy and just to kind of go through life, living well, right? That's the energy that I feel like people sometimes miss out on, even though they are part of a religion, part of a faith, because the intent isn't there. The intent,
Yeah.
we talk about this all the time in regards to training. You're doing reps, but this guy's doing the reps. You know what I mean? There's like there's I'm going out, but I'm going out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That Mickey Flanagan, right? But
Yeah.
there's such a difference, man. There's such a difference between
Yeah.
really. Do you know who's experiencing this right now? Hemmel,
Oh
shout
yeah.
out Bubble Butt Brown, right? This
Oh
guy,
yeah.
this guy right now.
Episode 20.
Oh
Episode 21.
yes, look at this
Yeah.
legend. I love it. Yeah,
Episode 21. Yeah. After Bills.
our own Ariel Hawani over here. That guy can, like, yeah, UFC 133. It's like, what
Yeah.
is this? Who's this guy, man? It's crazy.
Yeah.
He's knocking on the door of intent, and he's realizing that there's a whole friggin' can of worms behind it. They didn't really know that was there, and
Right.
it's so interesting to see him fully actualize on a rep, just a rep done with real driven intent, because he's just like, what the fuck? This is so wild. Like, I feel shit that I never knew was there before, and
Yeah.
lo and behold, this physique's changing like crazy compared to before.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
it's just a way of him centering himself in the moment. Like, he's not got any other intention in that moment apart from to bring point A and point B together and do it with cohesion of the whole body working as a unit to drive force through one area, to drive tension through one area. And he's seen the benefit of it, but that only comes through a singularity focus of, I need to intend on this happening with all of my being. You know what I mean? That's the crux of all this. Yeah, man, it's special to see, and I really think that's something that is a lot. People kind of they don't really scratch that surface enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in training generally as well. You mean
Both, man, both.
I'd say so. You definitely see it in training for sure. I think. Because I guess it's just easy to just float by because things are kind of relatively easy, right? In the kind of world that we live. But yeah, training wise for sure is just like mindlessly pulling out some reps, and then you realize that you could do the same number of reps, but actually if you were focused, the difference is crazy.
You kind of the words just left me there. They'll come back. They'll come back. Nope, it's gone. G. It's gonna come back.
It's gone.
It's gone. Yeah,
it's just flown away.
It's off. It's off.
like
the cat in the wind.
Yeah. The eagle has left the building.
Yeah, buddy. He's off. Yeah, man. It's nah.
Just try to will it. Trying to will it.
I said this to TJ earlier. I said we were doing hip airplanes at the gym, and I said to him, you ever find when you wobble with a hip airplane and then you tense really hard and you can save it? And he was like, yeah, I find that. I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
Because that's intense. That's intense.
Yeah.
I will not be moved. I'm staying here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got it back. It came back. And you're just willing yourself to find stability. It's like, where's my stability switch? Flick that. Let's go.
That's it.
Yeah, man. That's the intent in the moment. Yeah, man. But it's complete. Sorry, this is what I was going to say. Bam! I'm back.
Bam!
Love
Always
it.
comes back.
Back in the room, people. So the way I see training is that it's a simple way, in my opinion, of teaching exacting on intent. Like, you can feel when you go up and down into a deadlift, and I'm going up and down, but it's like, I can bring this point and drive it into this point like your life depended on it. And I want you to feel how this muscle will just swell with lactic acid, and you're just like, oh shit, what's that? What was that? Was that there the whole time? Like, yeah, that was there the whole time. You just didn't press that button enough to get it to squeeze like that. And you see it on clients' faces, and you finish a set, and they're just like, I never knew I could do that. It's okay. Well, now we have intent. Let's carry this shit forward. You know what I mean? That's I feel like sometimes we can give people this. I don't know whether I said this last week, but I feel like as a PT, we're almost like a renter consciousness, like a renter consciousness in terms of like, oh, I have a lot of intent when I train, and I would also like to have this intent. So okay, I'm gonna give you some dough for the hour or whatever. So I'm generalizing here, and I want you to part ways with that intent and show me how to really give it some when it's time. And yeah, it changes everything, man. It changes everything. It's probably my favorite thing to teach a client is how to just lock into something and just go to town. You know what I mean? Like find that stability over time, and then just spend yourself, because it's almost like you wanna find the point at which the wheels come off, because that's everything. You know what I mean? If you don't know where that is, you don't know what you're aiming for. You know what I mean? You don't know where you need to start directing your effort more. And I love that. I absolutely love genuinely, I love failing, because all of a sudden, you know the direction, you know where you're headed. You know what I mean? You're headed to a place where that's not hard anymore. It's interesting, man. It's really, really interesting.
That's loving failing, man. How many people can say that?
Emily said it last week, right? She was like, I want to be the worst person in the room when I'm doing anything. And I could resonate with that so hard, because I feel like even though we met at jiu-jitsu, and I remember that first session I went into Wave. I don't know if I've ever told you this story. Have I told you this story before?
Maybe
going into Wave the first time, and I just Googled it. Jiu-jitsu club near me. Cool. Wave came up, and went in. It was open mat on a Sunday. And I'm just there in like a base layer and a pair of shorts. I was like, I've never done jiu-jitsu in my life. I've never done anything in my life.
Okay.
And I tapped this guy on the shoulder, and I asked him. I was like, I watched everybody else do some stuff. I remember seeing Sam on the mats. I don't know if I saw you that day, but I saw Sam, and I was just like, do you want to roll? And because everyone else was saying that, I didn't even know what rolling was. Like hardly ever done. I think I'd done it a little bit with TJ before I'd left, and that was like three years prior to where I am right now. And I ended up rolling with this guy. And he ends up being a 10-year veteran black belt. Like he has his own gym in Birmingham. He was just down for the day to roll with Lorenzo, and he just tied me up in knots. And I was like, this is amazing. I love this. Like I wanna, like that time when you had your this here and I couldn't do anything. Like, how do I get out of that? And then you broke some of the things down for me. And I was like, this is brilliant. That's exactly what I needed. I needed to just come in here, not get 1 point, but get every point scored against me, because there's only one way I can go now. You know what I mean? Back up and up and up and up.
Only ways up. That's in a way, that's quite lucky that you lucked out that it was a black belt for your first roll as well, because it could have been like another white belt or like an early blue belt or somebody who just tries to.
That was fun. That was just like, okay, let's just have an ego battle now.
That's it. That's all it's going to end up being. It's like, oh, this guy's big and he's saying he's never rolled before. I can't get tapped to this guy. And then they're just like trying to go down.
Getting a scarf hold on somebody and just squeezing like it was the zit of my life, and just being like, sorry mate,
the zit of my life.
Zit of my life. You're going down, man. I'm sorry, I gotta take this head with me, man.
You're gonna pop.
Anymore. They're just like getting a tap, but it's a pity tap, because it's just like, mate, just get off me, right? Because you don't know what you're doing.
God.
I don't know what you're doing. You're gonna hurt me. I'm gonna get hurt. So forget about this. Just bonkers, man.
That's fucking great. The zit of my life. It's like it's gonna pop. There's gonna be like pus everywhere, man. It's like
nasty shit, man. Nasty shit.
That's proper jokes, man. It's like, oh, bro, you know what episode it is?
You told me before we came on air, bro. I can't believe this. I can't believe this.
Episode number 30.
That is big, bro.
That's big.
That is big. This podcast is officially one older than I am right now.
Yeah. Wait, you're 30 weeks old.
I'm 29 weeks old right now.
Exactly.
I'm just a baby.
Yeah, mate. This is our 30th episodes. You've had 29 episodes in years. That's to our listeners, I would say thank you for 30, because and the reason why it actually matters to us is early days doing some research on like podcasts and stuff like that. How many podcasts are there, all that kind of stuff, and just these numbers kind of get thrown up and thrown around. it's like a million podcasts out there. Like legit, there's a million podcasts, and for every podcast, on average, there's 30 episodes. And so I started thinking about that number. I was like, on average, there are 30 episodes per podcast. But that number must surely be heavily skewed by the top 1% of podcasts out there. I mean, let alone the top 10%. Because, like, you know, if you talk about the best performing podcasts, it literally nowadays are into the thousands of episodes. So it got me thinking. I was like, there's probably literally thousands and thousands of podcasts that ever started that didn't even make it to 30 episodes. And this isn't taking into account whether it's short form or long form. So short form could be, you know, somebody puts out 5 to 15-minute episodes, could be 3 times a week. And then you got long form, which is like hours basically. And so I was like, all right, 30 would be a good number to aim for. Just whatever, you know, just let's pick an arbitrary number, let it be 30 because of the meaning attached to it for this reason. And fuck, man, we're here. we're at 30. Yeah, exactly. Where did that come from? How do you even get there? And that's just another lesson in just incremental gains, ain't it? It's just
Consistency.
Just consistency. It's just it was never really, it wasn't that it was an active thought. It was like, okay, 30 would be good. You know, let's just try and clear 30. And it doesn't mean that we're going to stop now that we've got that. It's like, you know, we're bringing down the average that way. But yeah, it just got me thinking of, like, in the early days, it's like, all right, 30 would be a good number because I'm sure that's probably more episodes than a lot of podcasts that have ever been set up have created. And then here we are, just happened, man. So thank you. I love it. And thank you, brother, for being on this journey.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the listeners. I appreciate the chats, man. We ain't about to start. We're about to ride this all the way to the sunset, man. That's that's the fun part of this, man. We just getting started.
Yeah, and by sunset you mean when the sun stops burning in about 5 billion years time.
That's it. And we'll use our energy to restart that sun. Just burn it up again. Exactly. Do a Thor from Avengers. Start that guy up again.
Exactly, big time, man. So yeah, I thought that'd be worth mentioning. That's,
for sure, man. For sure. It's pretty crazy to think that we have 60 hours, right? No, 60 hours, probably more, way more than that. Probably because some of our episodes have been 3 hours long. Of just content that people can hopefully listen to, and obviously some of it's about G cooking a big steak, and some of it's about me me salivating over some salmon. But a lot of it is hopefully quite helpful to people. And we touched on, like, mental health awareness and how, if you know somebody out there who's kind of going through this stuff, I'd feel like this podcast can help them. You know, I mean, some of the traits, some of the things we talk about, if exacted on, and we've seen the benefits of it ourselves. We've seen it with our clients. So if you're listening to this and you feel like you've got somebody in your life who, you know, would benefit from 10, 15 minutes worth of listening, which maybe turn into an hour, maybe turn into 2 hours, maybe turn into a couple of episodes, that you should probably share this. You know, so it's been awesome. I can't wait to kind of keep just knocking these out, man.
That's it. Exactly. Keep them coming, one after the other, and just take it an episode at a time.
That's the one, man. That's the one. Yeah. One of my friends today said the phrase "super necessary." We haven't said that in a few weeks.
Yes.
So I was like, that's now crept its way into right from Street Jesus all the way in Miami to two boys in England. And now our listeners talking with the same lyrics too. It's fun, man.
Amazing. That's super great. Necessary. Yeah, exactly, man. That's paying it forward.
Yeah. I can imagine just using it in our everyday life. You're like, this is super necessary, guys. This is just super. Just dropping it like it's normal. What?
Nomenclature, whatever the word is.
Yeah. That's the one. It's part of vocabulary now, man. Super.
That's necessary. It, man. Exactly. So that's great, man. It's a good time to leave it.
Deal, man. Deal.
Let's do it. No, thank you for tuning in, and for those of you who've been here from the beginning, you legends, you know, all the way through from 30. Let's get to 300 next. Why not?
Let's go.
Let's go, champ. Let's go.
300 Spartans.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, madness. This is evolve, achieve, thrive.
I can see where your mind's going. I'm getting a face swap app video of you doing that.
Yes. I just just do a reface of me on Gerard Butler, and then just going
Can I-
300, man.
Can I be the wife who just goes, do it,
Yeah,
do it? I love how she just nods to him, like, give him what he needs. Just pow
Yeah.
into the hole. Go down.
exactly, man. Hype man Brown.
That's it, bro. That's it.
All right, people. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next week. So give us a shout as well out on, especially on Instagram and Facebook at Evolve, Achieve, Thrive. Tell us what you think of the episode. Share it with people, like Umar was saying. Share it with people you think need to hear the conversation, because if there's some value to be gained for you, there's certainly going to be some value to be gained for people that you know who might be thinking the same sort of way, or may need their eyes open to a new way of thinking. So. Please feel free to share it away, and then if you do share it via social media, tag us in it as well. We'd love to see where this is getting out to.
Love it. Love it. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Take it easy.